Only family gets to eat. That line was already sitting in my head before the night even finished. Like it had been waiting. I didn't know it yet, but it was coming. I walked into my son's place on Christmas Eve with a bakery box sweating butter through the paper. The house smelled like hot oil and something sweet burning at the edges. Everyone was already moving fast. Kids running. Music too loud. My daughter-in-law posted up in the kitchen like a traffic cop, pointing, nodding, handing out tasks. Not to me, to everyone else. No one asked if I wanted a drink, or food, or where I wanted to sit. I took the chair at the end of the table, the one half off the rug. It wobbled a little. I fixed it with a folded napkin because that's what I do. My name is Hollis Reed, 62. I helped pay for the furnace in that house 3 winters ago. The night it went out, I drove over with a check and a flashlight. They called it for family. That phrase sticks to you if you let it, kind of like grease, hard to wash off. Dinner moved around me. Plates filled. Refills happened. I watched the kitchen like it might notice me back. It didn't. I caught my son's eye once. He smiled, the soft kind. The kind that means don't start anything. So I didn't. I swear. Sometimes silence feels like the smarter move. Sometimes it's just habit. If you've ever sat in a room full of people and felt oddly parked, you know that hum in your ears, the fridge clicking, a fork scraping porcelain. Small sounds get loud. I didn't know yet that this was the night the quiet line would finally be crossed. Dinner thinned out the way it always does. Not all at once, just quiet scoops, smaller portions. Someone scraping the pan a little too long. I stood up when I saw the last tray come back from the kitchen. I wasn't rushing. I'd waited this long already. My daughter-in-law was there before me. She leaned over the counter and asked her kids, "Anyone still hungry?" Her voice lifted, bright, practiced. Both of them nodded. Of course they did. Kids always say yes when food is involved. She filled their plates again. Big helpings, extra sauce. I stayed where I was, fork in my hand. Not dramatic, just paused. She turned then, looked straight at me. No confusion, no checking around the room. Just a clean look, like she'd already decided something and was making sure I was following along. She pulled the last platter of ham toward her side of the table. When I reached for a serving, she blocked my hand with a serving spoon. "Save some for the kids. Hollis, only real family, the ones who live here, gets to eat the leftovers." She didn't whisper it. Didn't laugh after. No apology tucked in. The room heard it. The kids didn't stop chewing. My son's fork froze halfway to his mouth, then dropped back to his plate. He didn't look up. Someone cleared their throat. Someone else reached for a napkin. The conversation tried to restart. Stumbled. Then kept going like nothing had happened. I swear, people are incredible at pretending. I waited. A few seconds. Long enough for anyone to say something if they were going to. No one did. I caught my son's eye again. He looked at his plate, his face turning a deep, shameful red. He didn't defend me. He just whispered, "Mom, please, let's just have a quiet night." Like I'd been doing that my whole life. I felt heat in my face. Not rage. Something sharper. Recognition. Because it wasn't the sentence. It was the certainty behind it. She turned back to the stove. Already done with me. One of the kids asked for more bread. She handed it over without looking. I sat back down. Slowly. I didn't trust my legs to hold me if I rushed. My plate was empty. It stayed that way. Someone across the table talked about the weather. Someone laughed too loud. A chair scraped. I took a breath and let it out through my nose. That was when it landed. Not like a punch. More like a click. This wasn't about food. It was about placement. And everyone at that table knew exactly where mine was. I pushed my chair back before anyone could stop me. Not hard. Just enough to make the legs scrape once. That sound cut through the room better than my voice ever would. I'm gonna head out. I told the table. Calm, normal. Like I was leaving early for work the next morning. My son finally looked up. Already, he kept his tone light. Like timing was the problem, not the moment that came before it. I'm tired, I replied. True enough. My daughter-in-law didn't turn around. She was rinsing something in the sink. Water running full blast, a performance. Everyone has their tells. I grabbed my coat from the back of the chair. Someone offered leftovers, then hesitated halfway through the sentence. I waved it off and stepped toward the door. No hug, no goodbye tour, just out. The car smelled like cold vinyl and pine cleaner. I sat there a second before starting the engine. Hands on the wheel, steadying. Then I drove. A red light reminded me of the night they asked me to co-sign. Years ago now. Furnace shot. Middle of winter. My son on the phone, voice tight. Just until we get through this, he'd promised. It's family. Another light. Same stretch of road, different year. His wife on speaker, laughing a little too hard. Don't make it about money. Hollis, that's not what this is. I signed. Of course I did. That was the pattern. Small asks, big assumptions. My place shrinking inch by inch until tonight. When it finally got named out loud, I pulled into my driveway and shut the car off. The quiet hit fast, clean, heavy. I didn't cry. I didn't rehearse speeches. I just went inside and locked the door. I had no idea yet that walking away like that was the part they wouldn't be able to ignore. I woke up to my phone vibrating itself off the nightstand, not ringing, just buzzing in short, angry bursts, like it was embarrassed to make noise. I grabbed it and saw the screen. 36 missed calls. All from the same number. All within less than 2 hours. I sat up. My chest didn't tighten the way it usually does when family calls too much. That was the first strange thing. There was a voicemail waiting. I hit play. Hollis, call me back. Now, my son's voice. Too fast. We need to talk. Another message came right after. Same voice. Lower. The bank flagged the application. They can't move to the next phase of the refinance without a notarized signature from every person on the title. That means you, Hollis. I listened to all of them. Every single one. Not one mention of dinner. Not one awkward laugh. No, hey, about last night. No, are you okay? Just pressure. Just movement that had stopped and needed me to fix it. I leaned back against the headboard and let the phone keep buzzing in my hand. The vibration felt different now, less like panic, more like proof. One message caught my ear. My son again. Mom, please, we can't move forward like this. Move forward. Not apologize, not explain. Move forward. I didn't call back. I made coffee instead. Let it go cold on the counter while I replayed the messages again. Slower this time. They weren't calling to check on me. They were calling because something important to them wasn't working anymore. And somehow, without raising my voice or saying a single word, I had become the problem. I listened again. Slower this time. Not like a mother waiting for reassurance. Like someone reviewing footage. My son's third voicemail was the one that slipped. The loan officer needs all owners to confirm, he muttered, more to himself than to me. They can't finalize the refinance without it. There it was. I leaned on the counter and let the phone hang in my hand. Refinancing. Of course they were. Rates had dipped. They'd been talking about upgrades for months. New windows, kitchen work, things you don't do unless you're sure the money's coming. Another message followed. His wife this time. Same calm voice she uses when she wants control, without sounding like she's asking for it. Your name's still on the deed, Hollis. The bank flagged it. We just need you to clear that up. Clear that up. Like a typo. Like I'd misspelled my own name. I closed my eyes and thought back to the winter the furnace died. Snow piled up fast that year. Pipes knocking. My son pacing the living room, phone pressed to his ear. Just until we get back on our feet, he'd promised. You'll still be protected. Protected. Another word that sounds better than it behaves. I knew my name was still on the deed. I'd kept it there as a safety net for them. But they had started treating the house and me like I was just a ghost in the background. The bank had paused the whole thing. That much was clear now. No signature, no progress. Paperwork sealed until every owner weighed in. I scrolled through the messages one last time. 36 attempts. Urgent, polite, pressured, strategic. Not a single one mentioned the table, or the words she used, or the way my plate stayed empty. I set the phone down and stared at it like it might change its mind and apologize on their behalf. It didn't. That's when the confusion drained out of me. Clean. Fast. They weren't upset about what happened. They were upset that it had consequences. And that was when I understood why my phone wouldn't stop ringing. I didn't call my son back. I called someone else. A receptionist answered on the second ring. Milwaukee number. Calm voice. I gave my name. She put me through without asking why. That felt like a shift already. The attorney came on the line a minute later. Older. Flat tone. Not rushed. Tell me what's going on. I didn't dress it up. I told him about the deed. The refinance. The calls. I skipped the dinner part. I didn't trust myself not to editorialize. He listened. No interruptions. Then, your name's on the property. That makes you an owner. The bank can't proceed without your consent. So the file's sealed, I asked. Temporarily paused. He corrected. But yes. Nothing moves until you sign. I stared at the wall while that landed. Not relief. Not triumph. Control. Quiet. Heavy control. They're pressuring you. He continued. That's common. You don't have to engage. I don't want to fight them. I told him. I just don't want to be cornered. Then don't be, he replied. Have them speak to me. I hesitated. Old reflex. The one that tells you involving outsiders makes things worse. I swallowed it. Okay, I said. All communication goes through you. He didn't praise the decision. Didn't warn me either. I'll send them a formal partition warning. It tells them that as a partial owner, you have the right to force a sale of the home if they continue to ignore your interests. That usually stops the bullying fast. After we hung up, I forwarded his contact information to my son. One message, no explanation. A few minutes later, my phone lit up again. Not calls. Texts. Why are you doing this? This is unnecessary. Let's not make this ugly. I watched the dots appear, disappear, appear again. I didn't answer. For the first time, I wasn't scrambling to keep things smooth. I wasn't explaining myself into a corner. I set the phone face down and made lunch. Ate it standing up, cold. Fine, for the first time. I wasn't being asked. I was being waited on. I saw it by accident. I opened my phone to check the time and there it was. Her face first. Bright. Filtered. The tree behind them cropped just right. The caption sat on top like a bow. Family is everything. I scrolled. Photo after photo. The kids on the couch. My son holding a plate. Smiling like he'd practiced. Her parents tagged. Friends commenting fast. So beautiful. Love this family. Goals. I zoomed in on one shot without meaning to. Same table, same chairs. My seat wasn't there. Not even the edge of it. Like it had never existed. My son texted while I was still looking. She didn't mean anything by it. You know how social media is. I typed back. Erased it. Typed again. I was there. 3 dots popped up. Then stopped. Then nothing. A minute later, another message came through. From her. Short. Clean. We're trying to keep things positive. Positive. That word again. The kind that smooths over whatever it needs to. I didn't respond. I kept scrolling instead. The comments kept stacking up. No one asked where I was. No one noticed the gap. The picture worked without me. There was a moment, I swear, where I almost felt embarrassed. Like maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Like if enough people smiled at the screen, it could rewrite the night. I set the phone down hard enough for it to clack against the counter. That sound snapped me back. They didn't want a scene, they wanted a version. One where I didn't complicate the frame. If you've ever been erased politely, you know it's not loud, it's efficient. They wanted me invisible, but somehow, they still needed my name on paper. My son called in the afternoon. He didn't waste time warming up. Can we just talk this out? His voice stayed soft. Careful, no lawyers, no drama. I'm listening. I told him. I didn't agree to anything, I just listened. We met at a coffee place near his work. Neutral ground. He kept his coat on the whole time. Like he might bolt. His wife arrived late and slid into the chair without ordering anything. This whole thing got blown out of proportion. She started, hands folded tight. Everyone was stressed. Holidays do that. Stress makes people honest. I replied. I kept my tone even. I didn't look at her. I watched my son. He cleared his throat. Mom, we're family. You know how that night was? No one meant to hurt you. I nodded once. I know what was meant. She leaned forward. Let's not relive it. We just want to move on. Move on again. Same phrase. Different day. My son glanced at his phone, then back to me. The bank needs the paperwork resolved. It's holding everything up. There it was. Not framed as a favor. Framed as a nuisance I was causing. I'm not stopping anything. I answered. I'm just not signing. His shoulders dropped a fraction. You don't have to make this a stand. I didn't. I told him that happened already. She sighed. Sharp this time. You're punishing us over one comment. I'm responding to a pattern. I replied. The comment just named it. Silence sat between us. Thick. My son stared into his cup like answers might float up. Can you at least think about it, he asked. For us, I stood up. Slow, deliberate. I am thinking about it. That's why I'm not rushing. I left them there. No raised voices. No slammed doors. Just space where access used to be. On the walk out, my phone buzzed. A message from my son. Please don't let this get worse. I didn't answer. I already knew where this was headed. They asked me to come back to the house. Not for dinner, not for Christmas, just to talk. That phrase again. I almost laughed when my son used it on the phone. Almost. I didn't bring anything with me. No documents. No notes. Just myself. We sat at the same table. Different day. Same chairs. My daughter-in-law kept adjusting a placemat that didn't need fixing. My son stayed quiet. Hands wrapped around a mug he wasn't drinking from. She went first. We don't want this to turn into something bigger than it is. I nodded. It already did. That night was chaotic. She continued. Things came out wrong. Things usually do, I replied. Calm, even. That's when they're honest. My son shifted. Mom, please, we're all exhausted. I am too. I told him, just not from this conversation. She exhaled through her nose. You're holding everything up. I leaned back. Not dramatic. Just enough to settle. No. I'm not moving anything. He looked up then. Really looked. We just need the refinance to go through. After that, everything can go back to normal. Normal. I let that word hang. I placed my hands flat on the table. Felt the groove in the wood where someone had dragged a chair too hard years ago. That little detail grounded me, kept me steady. At Christmas, I began. You looked at me and said, only family gets to eat. She stiffened. My son's jaw tightened. I didn't misunderstand that. I went on. You didn't correct it. No one did. She opened her mouth, then closed it. So here's where we are. I continued. If only family eats, then only family signs. Silence dropped hard. Not the awkward kind. The final kind. My son swallowed. You're really doing this? I already did, I replied. I just didn't announce it. She pushed her chair back slightly. You're choosing paperwork over people. I met her eyes. You chose first. My son rubbed his face with both hands. When he dropped them, he looked older, tired in a way I hadn't seen before. I should have said something, he muttered. Yes, I answered. Not unkind. Not forgiving either. No one raised their voice. No one cried. That surprised me. Maybe we'd all used up our noise. I stood. All communication goes through my attorney. I won't be rushed. I won't be shamed. And I won't pretend this is about one night. As I reached the door, my daughter-in-law spoke again. Quieter now. You didn't have to make it this cold. I paused. Just long enough. You did that part. I left without looking back. The air outside felt different, thinner, honest. Once the words were out, there was no taking them back. The refinance didn't go through. That part stayed exactly where I left it, frozen. No updates. No clever workarounds, just stalled. The calls slowed first, then stopped. Texts turned into long pauses. Days went by without my phone lighting up at all. I noticed how quiet that felt. Not peaceful, just honest. My attorney emailed once. Short note, neutral tone, no movement on their end. I replied with a single line, that's fine. I updated my documents the next week, not dramatically, just methodically. Changed beneficiaries, tightened language, made sure nothing could be borrowed against my name ever again without my consent. It took less than an hour. Funny how long it takes to do something you should have done years ago. One message stayed unread. You didn't have to do this. It sat there like a note slipped under a door too late. I didn't delete it. I didn't answer either. I let it be what it was. An ending that wanted a different script. Here's the part I didn't expect. The lesson didn't arrive with relief. It came with clarity. Quiet clarity. The kind that sticks. People who benefit from your silence will always call your boundaries cruelty. They'll ask you to keep things smooth while standing on your back. I learned that love without respect is just access. And access, once granted, is hard to take back unless you're willing to be uncomfortable. If any part of this hit close to home, don't scroll away yet. Tap like, drop a comment. Tell me where you're listening from or what line stuck with you. Someone else reading might need to hear it too. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get closure. What I got was my name back. I didn't take their home. I just took back my seat at the table, even if that table wasn't in their house anymore. I realized that family isn't a debt you pay. It's a respect you earn. And they were officially bankrupt.